where everything sucks. Two men have the balls to laugh at it. This is The System is Down, your place for base takes and honest, raw comedic perspective on current events, politics, conspiracies, and everything you're not supposed to laugh at. Dissident Media presents The System is Down. Find out more at thesystemisdown.tv.
And you ain't in it.
Hey, welcome to episode 154 of Decentralized Revolution. I'm Aaron Harris. Nate Thurston is with me. That was just a reminder that the System is Down podcast is a podcast you should listen to. Dan Smots and Dave Casey, who was a guest a few weeks ago, who both of them were great guys. I know Dave a lot better, but their podcast is always great. And if you need like video work done, like that's Dan's work you just saw. And a lot of the videos and hype videos and stuff that we put out as the Mises Caucus over the last few years has been Dan's work. So if you need video editing, work ideas, that sort of stuff, Dan is your guy. He's on Twitter, and if you can't get a hold of him, just get a hold of me and I'll put you in touch with him. And I'm at aaron@misescaucus.com. This is episode 154. Nate, special episode tonight. The guest is us.
Awesome.
We don't have any other guests. We were working on a couple of pretty good ones, but scheduling to try to hit this like 8:00 live stream time slot is kind of hard sometimes. So we were just going to talk about what's been going on over the last week or so with, really it's been going on for the last 50 years or more of my whole life, as like the right and Israel and all of that. But most recently, Tucker had Nick Fuentes on, and everybody is all up in arms about it for different reasons. And as libertarians, we are right about everything. And so we're looking at the right arguing over both sides of this. And it's like, hey, just come on over to us. But we realize that we have to make the case for that and to talk about why kind of the flawed thinking on both sides of this issue. And of course, as we get into it, you'll find out that I'm pretty sure Nate kind of thinks one side is a lot less wrong than the other, but so we're going to get into that. One more quick announcement. I don't think we're going to be doing a podcast next week. We're going to be doing a Mises Caucus town hall type thing with Angela and myself and some other board members. And it's like invite only, but it's like broad invitation. So if you're a member of the caucus, you consider yourself one, you haven't done anything really stupid lately, you're a contributor, you're a state organizer, you're going to be getting the invite to that in the newsletter this week. And so if you are interested and want to be in on that and you're not getting the newsletter, go to takehumanaction.com. Let me put that up on the screen too for those of you who are watching it. But takehumanaction.com will get you signed up for the email updates, which come out mostly every week, sometimes more than that, sometimes a little less. But next week, the 11th, Tuesday the 11th, that's the only time Angela and I, but Angela's schedule could work. And I'm like, hey, well, we'll just use this time for it. And so, yeah, there's that. So hopefully one of them, working on a couple of pretty good Maha type guests, and a couple guests that you may be more familiar with. So we'll try to have them soon. And another thing we might do, and I haven't run this by Nate either, but we might have to end up, especially over holidays, like doing some non-live stream things and then just playing them in this slot. So far, everything we've done has been live, except for we did a Ron Paul tribute the week of his birthday, where I replayed the interview that Mike Heiss and I did with him a few years back. So, but we like to keep it live. We like to keep it fresh. I was also trying to maybe looking at a couple of people in the UK to try to get, and right now it's like midnight. Well, it's now 1:00 in the UK after our time change. So probably not going to get them live in this slot either. So So no show next week, but the plan is 2 weeks from today and through the end of the year to either have live episodes or pre-recorded. Actually, I don't need to say pre-recorded. I'm being redundant. Recorded episodes rather than live stream. So all of that housekeeping out of the way. Nate, yeah, what are you thinking about all this? Are you as exercised about the fact that Tucker platformed someone as so many other people seem to be?
Platforming, yes. I'm not. I'm not super upset that he platformed Nick Fuentes. I don't think that Nick Fuentes needs anyone to platform him right now. As people, what I hope people learn eventually. Listen, I'm no fan of Nick Fuentes. Hopefully, I don't make anyone too mad by saying that. But what people need to learn is that the more you try to deplatform and cancel people, I mean, this is a guy that's like demonetized and deplatformed in some areas, and it doesn't work. If anything, as we've seen in the past, like, it just gives people this reason to go check out what must be so bad about this person that they're getting deplatformed or demonetized. It just doesn't work at all. The best thing you can do is try and beat them with your ideas being better.
Yeah.
This whole trying to cancel people thing is not. Now, I when it comes to those two interviews, and just full disclosure, when I say two interviews, I mean I watched the one with Dave Smith and I watched the one with Tucker Carlson, and they kind of bleed together in what I'm going to say. I watched half an hour to 45 minutes of each one of them. They did feel a little bit like fluff pieces, honestly. Both Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson are really good at going hard on people when they disagree with them on things. And I would like to see that, but not from someone who's like, you're an anti-Semite. I would like to see it from someone who's got a little bit more of a logical, rational point of view to go after that. But it's their shows. They can do whatever. Maybe there's no value that comes from doing that. Maybe there's no way that you can reach Fuentes's fan base at all and get them to trust you. So maybe you could slowly convert them over time if you just go hard at them immediately. I understand that. I know Tucker Carlson apologized for a couple things when he did a recap with Dave Smith yesterday, the day before, whenever that was. That was a very long answer to am I upset about him being platformed?
No, that's good. But like, what specifically did Tucker? You said he apologized for, or
sort of apologize. Well, he officially apologized for one thing, and he said he wished he would have done something else differently. The first thing he said he wished he would have done differently was Fuentes said something about loving Stalin, and Tucker just kind of shook it off or ignored it or whatever. And I get it. Someone says he loves Stalin, you sort of have to assume they're joking. It'd be tough to figure out whether or not they're being serious. And honestly, when it comes to Nick Fuentes, a lot of times I still can't figure out if he's actually being serious all the time or if he's just a 26-year-old kid or guy that's just saying things for shock value. And then the other thing he apologized for was saying that he hated Christian Zionists.
Right.
And he ended up apologizing for that because that includes many of his friends. That includes Charlie Kirk. That includes like I would say the bulk of people that he knows.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, I mean, not to say what he meant or anything, but like, there's a big difference between hating Christian Zionism as an idea, because I kind of do too, because I don't think it's theologically correct. But hate is often a strong word that you don't need to use most of the time. But yeah, so I mean, if that's the worst thing, but like, one thing I think we need to remember, and I want to be careful on this, because I do think Dave Smith is genuine. I do think Tucker Carlson is genuine. I do think a lot of people, this word influencers, I hate that word because I hate the internet and I hate what it's done to society. And I wish it were 1973 or 93 again, but like I'm very conservative in that respect. But like the whole influencer thing, you have to remember that these people are, even when they're sincere, they're couching things, they're presenting things, they're choosing what topics to talk about and what guests to have based on how many clicks it will get them. And that's not wrong. I mean, like I'm just reading a book about Bruce Springsteen's making the Born to Run album. And I know he's a horrible leftist who likes Obama, and he would have been better off if he'd have died in a plane crash in the late 80s. But I love early Bruce Springsteen.
He's got two really good songs.
He's got several really great songs, and he's great live. If he's with the E Street Band, if he's with any other band, no good. And the recent stuff is not good. But like Bruce, up until after the Tunnel of Love album, like he's great. So anyway, disagree with me, but like even like somebody like that, like what he does, he had a hard time like appealing to kind of breaking out of this like next big thing box. And he, you know, he did things in a calculated way to get to be really big. And so it's art and commerce, nothing wrong with being, you know, couching your art or your opinions, in this case, your political advocacy, to try to make money with it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And in a lot of cases, it does actually produce better art. So like this book I'm reading is specifically about making the Born to Run album, which is his best album, which he did things that he hadn't done before because he was going to get dropped from his label. And so he had to pull out all the stops and all this. So in that case, a commercial consideration produced great art. So long digression, we have to remember that Tucker, Dave, everybody else that we're going to mention tonight, Ben Shapiro, they're in business and they're trying to, you know, keep their business going to take care of their family and all the other people who depend on them. And so a lot of times these decisions are made for that. And when a guy has 1 million, I just looked it up, he's got 1 million followers on Twitter X, Nick Fuentes. And so that goes back to your point, is look what, you know, they've tried to suppress him and guys like him, and it only leads to people wanting to check him out. And I am a big believer in, you know, countering bad ideas with good ones, which is the whole reason I'm involved with the Mises Caucus. And the whole reason most of us in the Mises Caucus are trying to do this is because we believe in things and we want to wake up the people who kind of believe the same way we do and get them involved. So, and unfortunately, sometimes we have to end up talking about about stuff like this. But yeah, I think it's bizarre to like. Well, I think you may be right. I can't remember if you just now said it or you said it on Good Morning Liberty, which I was listening to earlier today. About you try to pound people's ideas into the ground. They're just going to sprout up stronger most of the time. So
yeah, and then a lot of people want to go look and see what they're not supposed to see. It just doesn't work like that. I was kind of wondering what because I haven't heard you talk about it much, but there seems to be a growing anti-Israel sentiment on the right for sure right now. There's definitely one on the left as well. I also see that a anti-Semitic thing growing as well, but I don't combine those two things like like some of the Zionists do or whatever, which I believe is where this whole issue is really coming from, is trying to combine those two things. What are your thoughts on this whole anti-Israel right, or at least questioning Israel right thing? Like, is it moving in the right direction right now? Is it going too far? We got too many extremes.
That's a good question. I don't know, but I do know that it's probably a good thing that people are questioning the status quo on the right that has basically held since World War II, and especially since like the 70s. Like I guess after the wars in 67 and 73, like the main foreign policy establishment in the United States on both parties has been pretty committed to Israel. And we can debate on, which is the tail wagging the dog or is the dog wagging his tail, in relation to the US and Israel. But it has just been taken for granted that part of the US's just agenda is, rules-based liberal order, right? Where we're in charge, and through the UN and NATO, we can kind of police the world. And part of it is we're going to protect Israel. And obviously, as non-interventionists, we libertarians and all small L libertarians, and I would hope one day all big L libertarians would be firm non-interventionists. It's not wise to have these connections to NATO, to Israel, to whomever else, that the slogan that's been coming up on the right, not only America first, but America only. Like, I'm for that. Like, ultimately, I'm for East Tennessee only, right? Like, I want the state of Franklin, the Republic of East Tennessee, with with Dolly Parton, statue of Dolly Parton in front of the state house that doesn't make any laws, right? That's what I want. But like, I would rather have the federal government do an America only foreign policy focused on free trade and, just being a good neighbor. But so the opposite has been the case for my lifetime and more. And to even suggest certain things has been not been able to be on the table at all. And so the fact that we're now discussing, and that there is a growing movement of people, and it's always kind of been there on the left, like the hardcore left, which is sometimes good on foreign policy, has been, hey, maybe we ought not let Israel do this to the Palestinians. They've always been that way, but nobody on the right has been able to do that without getting excommunicated from the conservative movement, which, Bill Buckley did that. People did that with Bill Buckley at National Review at different times, pushed people out of the approved conservative movement because of anti-Semitism or this or that. And then there was another round of that, with Pat Buchanan, so there's always been that old right paleoconservative types who are non-interventionists, who the establishment has always, in waves, they push those people out and try to marginalize them by saying, oh, well, if you're not for completely supporting Israel, you're anti-Semitic, and isn't that kind of weird? So we're not going to talk to you anymore. So the fact that a lot of people are standing up now, and like Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I don't know, a whole lot about her, and well, rather didn't until the last few months, the people that a hardcore conservative Republican 30 years ago would never have thought about, other than Ron Paul would never have thought about saying something that wasn't completely pro-Israel. So the fact that that conversation is happening is good. And obviously the tactic of the Israeli government and its supporters, like they have the card of, and I hate to sound like this, but like they always are, oh, well, if you don't support us, then you must be against us. If you're against us, then that leads to the Holocaust, right? Like that's the pretty much the argument they always make. And the fact that people are willing to stand up and say, no, I'm anti-Holocaust, I'm not anti-Semitic, but I'm also not supporting, I don't want to support a foreign policy that prioritizes Israel or Ukraine or whatever. So I think it's a good thing that that bond is coming loose. The unfortunate thing is that there are people who do have the more extreme possibly anti-Semitic views who are kind of inserting themselves into the conversation where, okay, come to the conversation. So I'm not saying ban any of those people. And I'm even agreeing in some cases, yeah, talk to them. But the solution is liberty and non-interventionism and smaller units of government that don't, result in 500 people in Washington controlling a whole continent, which controls the world, right? We want the Hoppian, smaller political units that, so we don't have these big questions, and so unfortunately we have to make that case. Whereas I want to ask you, up until recently, or even now that you know a little bit more about him, what's your take on like what Nick Fuentes and his movement people, what do they really think, I guess? So what are we as libertarians being forced to contend with here?
Well, my biggest issue with now that I don't listen to Nick Fuentes, I see the clips that go around, and some of them might be old, some of them might be, I don't know how out of context they could be. I'm pretty sure they're in context, but some of them could be saying things for shock value, and so just disclosure on that. I don't listen to Nick Fuentes, but the main issue I have with Fuentes is the issue I have with a lot of people is that it seems to be a very collectivist oriented, groupthink ideology oriented movement. And so like the biggest things when I see clips of him going around, it tends to be railing against this group or that group or saying terrible things about this group or that group. And the biggest problem there is collectivism. And I'm absolutely 100% against collectivism. And so that tells me that his people really can't be living or at least adhering to any kind of individualist ideology, or I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be in business really at all, because I think a lot of his biggest hits come from saying terrible things about certain groups. Now, when it comes to like we shouldn't be involved or we shouldn't be fighting Israel's wars and things like that I've seen from him, yeah, I totally agree with that. We shouldn't be spending money on it. I totally agree with that. As far as his political ideology, I really have no idea what that is at all. I haven't seen enough for him for that. I think really for the Republicans and like the super pro-Israel Republicans are going to have to understand that it's a new time, and we've got social media, we've got the internet. The days of canceling people because they said mean things about Israel, it's not going to be like it used to be. It's not going to be that easy. There's not just a few news outlets. There's not a handful of newspapers, and then radio shows, that you're going to try and block people from going on. Anyone can go out there and get a big voice. And Nick Fuentes is really big, massive. Did you say 1 million followers, something like that?
I think so. Let me look. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm looking, his thing says America First, Christ is King, Chicago, Illinois, rumble.com/Nick J. Fuentes, 1 million followers.
Yeah. I don't know about Christ is King and I Love Stalin at the same time.
Well, and that's
how those work together. I'm not really sure.
Right. That's my thing too, of like, there's been over the last couple of years, like specifically that phrase, Christ is King was like trending and stuff like that. And I think that like I'm a Christian, so therefore I'm not really a libertarian. I'm a monarchist, right? But as far as like, as long as Jesus is not physically present on the scene again yet, I'm a libertarian and an ANCAP. But a lot of people, I think, were saying that kind of as a pushback to the establishment hates anything Christian. And so to say that is like a troll, right? So some people believe that. And as a Christian, I guess I don't necessarily appreciate the Lord's name being brought into a political trolling thing. But if you really believe it, then that's fine. I just don't know. Again, people on Twitter, if your job is having a public persona and saying things that will get people to listen to you on some level, unless I really know somebody and I've listened to them a lot, and even then you can be fooled by somebody, but I always wonder, like, what exactly is this person? What does he really think? So, so you pulled some clips, right? Not necessarily of the Tucker Fuentes thing, but some other clips. And so,
none of that. I've got some of the, what, in my opinion, some of these people are responsible for, like, if they're upset about Nick Fuentes and so many people listening to him, I think it's largely the fault of the three people I have clips of right here, which has Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, Lindsey Graham, and many other people that you can mention in that. I just happen to have clips of them pulled up right now. But this thing of, you can't talk negatively about Israel. You can't question our relationship with Israel. Like, if you believe that we have gone to war, at least partly due to Israel in the past, or that you think things are getting tough here in America and we shouldn't be giving money to other countries, and that includes money to Israel, and that includes all the extra money that we spend, say, defending Israel when they're in a little 2-week war with Iran or whatever, the amount of money we spend to blow up their nuclear facilities and stuff like that. If you're going to call that anti-Semitism, then you're just going to push people away from whatever your movement is. I think the left might have learned this idea a little bit, but calling everyone racist, which is like, that's the same thing. Calling everyone racist just does not work. And I can criticize Israel and not hate Jews at the same time. Obviously, that's an obvious thing that people can see through. Now, for a while,
well, you would say that,
wink, right? For a while that would work, because you'd just be so scared of being called an anti-Semite. You don't want to be called a racist, or you don't want to be called a fascist or a Nazi or whatever. But these terms have been so overused throughout the years that they just have no meaning anymore. But you're not going to go listen to some of these biggest names on the right that you might agree with on a ton of stuff if they're going to call you a racist for not liking us sending money to Israel or something. Eventually, you're going to seek other people out. And I think that's one of the biggest things here. You're calling a big group of people who have a legitimate problem with our close relationship with Israel. Like, if you're going to watch what's happened over the last couple of years, even with Israel and Gaza, if you have no allegiance to Israel at all, like if you're truly America first and you don't care about Israel any more than any other country that's not America, it'd be pretty difficult to not feel some negative emotions about the things that you're seeing coming out of Gaza, and then also know that some of your tax money is going to it at the same time.
Right.
And so it's a pretty normal emotion, and to be told that you can't question that at all, it's just not going to work. And people are going to seek out the other extreme options that are out there.
Right. And there's the angle that Scott Horton has alluded to a couple of times on his Provoked podcast with Martyr Maid Daryl Cooper. Scott seems worried, and we're trying to have Scott on again at some point too. He's been really busy. He has said a couple of times that he is actually getting more and more worried about a bin Ladenite type terrorist attack against the U.S. or the West because of Gaza and different things. Because again, if you go back and look at the stated reasons for why bin Laden did what he did, again, see Ron Paul versus Rudy Giuliani if you think that this is in any way apologizing or whatever for bin Laden. But like, that's it was occupying the holy sites, and the treatment of the Palestinians were two, if not the only two, but certainly the top two things that he would always say. And so there are people who see this happening to people that they feel kinship with, at least in a religious sense. They are upset about this. And in other words, this type of thing inspired something like 9/11 to happen. So it could very well, Scott's worried about something like that happening, and who knows?
Well, just if the treatment of the Palestinians and our relationship with Israel had anything to do with 9/11, imagine now after what's happened to Gaza during this time.
It's worse than the incursions into Lebanon that the Israelis had made, and it's horrible. So you said, in no particular order, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and Lindsey Graham. So hit me with whatever you got.
I got a few things. Well, we were talking about cancellation earlier. Here's Mark Levin talking about canceling some people. Let's see.
For 6 months, I've been fighting these bastards, whether it's Tucker Carlson or whether it's Nick Fuentes, and I've been looking over my shoulder looking for help. And you know what I found? Nothing.
Okay, stop it. Stop.
Okay.
So
not too much already.
Well, but no, it's like nothing. Like the whole establishment is like, it's everybody. Like my Twitter this week, which I try not to do too much of it, but I kind of got sucked in on this stuff. There's all kinds of people denouncing Tucker, and there's all kinds of people who, Fox News got rid of Tucker, right? Like the mainstream of the mainstream, the most powerful voices, which are less powerful than they were 30 years ago. In other words, to say that nobody is supporting him and his holy crusade to keep people from talking to one another on the internet. But
he's been holding the America-Israel coalition together by himself this whole time.
Right.
And
he reminds me of somebody too, by the way. I can't think of it, but go ahead.
It can be good. All right, here we go.
We're here today to do something about this. What do you mean we don't cancel people? We canceled David Duke. Donald Trump canceled David Duke. We canceled Pat Buchanan. We canceled the John Birch Society. We canceled Joseph Sobran. We canceled pornography on TV.
Okay, let's stop.
All right.
So Joseph Sobran was a columnist and like a buddy, a kindred spirit with Pat Buchanan, who I read their columns back in the 90s. I was telling you about this newspaper. It was before the internet. I subscribed to this thing called the Conservative Chronicle, which had syndicated columns from Pat Buchanan, Joseph Sobran, Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams. I think even Milton Friedman was doing a column back then at that point. In addition, so it had like everything from like neocons to traditional conservatives to libertarians. And so Joseph Sobran was a great writer, and basically he had been writing for National Review, and they kicked him out because he basically came out against, Zionism. So him and Pat Buchanan got canceled from the conservative movement simply because of that. And in those days, to get canceled from the conservative movement, all you had to do was Bill Buckley and the people at National Review, who, was a magazine funded in part in its early days by the CIA. A lot of Bill Buckley was in the CIA, yada, yada. So an establishment controlled opposition magazine were the people who they kicked Murray Rothbard out of the movement too. Rothbard had written from there in National Review some too, but of course Murray got too radical for them too. So Joe Sobran is not some kind of Nazi or whatever. He's basically Pat Buchanan. So go ahead.
Vicious anti-Semite. Is that what you mean?
Oh, yeah. But also notice what he did. He's like, what did he say? So David Duke, who was a literal Klansman at one time, and then two reasonable political commentators, and then he goes to pornography on TV, which I don't, but it's like, okay, so this is like what neuro-linguistic programming or something, like it's the trick, right? You just, we don't cancel people, look at these horrible things, and then slip in
You just put those
the
people in
innocuous
a group together in someone's mind, whether they like it or not. Those people are grouped together in someone's mind during
right.
that
So
time.
now we're thinking, when we think about Pat Buchanan and Joe Sobran, we're thinking about pornographic Klansmen or something. Is what he wants
Yeah.
us to think. But go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All,
I haven't seen this entire clip. We'll see if we got any good stuff in
all
here.
the damn time. Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, Jew haters, American haters, Churchill haters. You're damn
Nope.
right we're going to
Okay, there's another one.
Yeah, we don't. That'll get me on such a long tangent. But yes, I hate Winston Churchill. I hate everything he ever did. Anyway, yeah, that's another thing. Read Ralph Raico, Raico. Google Ralph Raico Churchill, and that's all you need to know.
Okay, we had Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, or Churchill haters,
Right.
or America haters. Like
Right.
that's the side right there.
Right.
Which I don't know if I have any friends that are Hitler or Stalin admirers. I'm not. In fact, of the things I've heard from Nick Fuentes, like that's about one of my biggest problems right there. You know, so
if he actually
I
believes
agree.
that, yeah.
We really. I wouldn't want anyone in the conservative movement or in the libertarian movement to be admirers of Stalin or Hitler at all. Now, I would like to, instead of just canceling them and pushing them off to where they just build their own gigantic movement somewhere else, I would try to talk some sense into them instead of just calling them racist or an anti-Semite or whatever and then pushing them out. I think that would be a better course of action. This one clearly isn't working, but yeah, that was a good.
Oh wait, also,
right
if I recall from my high school and junior high textbooks, there's lots of pictures with Stalin and Churchill looking awfully friendly toward each other, but that's another thing. So
yeah, that does. I do believe that we were allied with Stalin. So yeah,
for them and deplatform them. It's called the market system. They don't have a lifetime job like a bureaucrat who we're going to protect. And if they're your friend, there's something wrong with you. No Hitler admirer, Holocaust denier, platformer should be anybody's friend, as a matter of fact.
Holocaust denier, platformer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's see
How much longer on this one?
This one's pretty long. I've got some other shorter ones that I've actually.
Well, go. I want to hear. I got a little more of him though.
Okay, let's go.
You don't get to wrap your psychotic, mental, unhinged, Nazi.
Okay, hold on. When he's doing this, I feel like it's when Macaulay Culkin's watching The Angels with Filthier Souls and Home Alone 2. It's like, you're lousy, no good, lying, chore, flesh, and carcass, out my door. That's what he is like. Imagine that. Imagine that for your holiday season when he's going through this list right here.
Right. Denier, platformer should be anybody's friend, as a matter of fact. You don't get to wrap your psychotic, mental, unhinged, Nazi, Klan, jihadist bullshit around American patriotism. You don't get to claim you're MAGA and America first when you're lining up with the Marxists and the Islamists and Hamas and the terrorists.
Oh God, I get so annoyed when they do this. MAGA or America first. You're lining up with the Marxists and the terrorists and all that. But that just means that you have a disagreement with Israel and that you don't like what they're doing in the war. And then also some people on the left feel the same way. And some crazy commies and stuff feel the same way about this. And so you can't possibly also have this opinion about our foreign entanglements without being in alignment with those people.
And he was a never Trumper.
Yeah, he was.
April 19th, 2016 in the Hill, Mark Levin, I would never vote for Trump. Go ahead.
The cowards. We're surrounded by cowards who have microphones, who have TV cameras, who have websites, of columns? Cowards. It's spelled Carlson. It's spelled Fuentes. It's spelled Owens. It's spelled Bannon. It's spelled
Oh my goodness.
Marjorie Trader Green. You can figure that out yourself. And they're not alone. How are we going to attack the Mondamis and the Talibs and the Omars and the Sanders and the rest of them when in our own house this poison is spreading? We've got to take care of business. We can fight the enemy on the other side.
I got it.
Okay, yeah, we're done with
one.
that.
Like, when you decide that, how are we going to fight the Mondanis and the Bernie Sanders and AOC and all them when we've got this on our side? I'm sorry, but the main problem that Republicans should have with all the people he just mentions is that they're freaking socialist commies,
Right.
and that they're going to destroy the economy, and a bad economy will kill more people than a war.
Right.
And so that's the problem that you should have with those commies, not that they are against Israel or even that they're against our involvement with Israel. And so decide there's no way we can fight these people because you're aligning with them, like on this one thing. But what about the freaking communist?
Yeah.
Social.
Ron Paul told you how to fight these people, but you didn't listen. So let's go on to, what do you want to do? I want to do Lindsey Graham last.
Okay.
Because he's just so.
Oh man, he has a clip. I legitimately laughed. It's so ridiculous. Let's hear. I've got a 45-second clip here from Ben Shapiro. He's probably going to be louder and faster.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, let's see here.
My answer is no. No to the Groypers. No to their publicists like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to anti-Americanism. No. This is our country. This is our party. And this is our conservative movement. And I will not stand by while it is handed over to those who betray the most fundamental principles I have spent my entire life defending and advocating. That is a path to defeat and a path to moral oblivion. I reject it because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country.
Oh my goodness.
I'm halfway serious. He might be broadcasting from Jerusalem in this clip. I'm not. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that, he is the question that, is right there is like, which country, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not like trolling here, but like literally like his America is only, these are the people that say, I don't know if he said it specifically, but I think he maybe has, is like, oh, America first does mean support for Israel because they're our only ally, yada, yada. It's just like, no, like I don't even have a problem with, I don't want to get into that, but like, again, all I'm saying is non-intervention, period. That we'll trade with anybody. We're not gonna, entangling alliances with none, in the words of George Washington. Again, I think I was listening to Scott Horton on somewhere. Maybe I was finishing up his 10-hour thing on Lex Friedman or whatever, but like talking about, just read Washington's farewell address is all you need to know about American foreign policy. And then John Quincy Adams, we're Americans, we don't go around the world searching for monsters to destroy. We want to be chill and do our own thing and be an example for everybody. But like literally, his vision of conservatism and American patriotism is number one, support for Israel, which again, like you don't even have to be anti-Zionist to not quite buy that. But anyway.
Yeah. And one little, to give Ben Shapiro credit, I've listened to Ben Shapiro for a long time, except for when there's a new thing involving Israel, and then I don't listen for a while. He has been pretty good on critiquing things like the tariffs and some other economic policies like that. Like he's done a pretty good job doing that. And in this episode, because I actually did listen to this entire episode from him to
Mhm.
hear what he had to say. He did a good. He actually it was effective. He played a lot of old Nick Fuentes clips. So he's talking about black people and women and Jews and
Right.
Indians and all kinds of people. And he's essentially made the case a bunch of times that the left went too far, extreme left,
Mhm.
and that's why they have lost elections. And this has been bad for them. Was that they let the most extreme parts of their party start driving the bus. Um, and I think that there is a point that you need to make sure that those most extreme parts of whatever the ideology is, that you don't just turn into like white nationalism.
Oh no,
Not that that's where we're going or even close to or whatever. That's not that's not what I'm saying. But it is important to, I think, try and just don't support that happening. You
no,
know.
and I'm not the first person to say this, but like he on this issue, on the Israel foreign policy issue, he's the extremist. That's the
Mhm.
extremist position. That is the identity politics position of doing something that is clearly not in America's best interest because of another allegiance, another sort of niche view. So like that's the thing that the right, and hopefully the right will be more libertarian, but again, in this case on this issue, he is the uh occupies a similar position as the person advocating for trans and kids, right? It should be, and I think will be someday, seen as what it is, which is an extreme view that is not essential to either American conservatism or certainly not libertarianism. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, one more thing before we do Lady G. The I think some people, this is to my fellow Christians, like if you're a Christian, I'm not saying that my view about not favoring Zionism, I think it's correct, but I'm not saying just take my word for it. But I'm saying you should not take the word of someone who is not a Bible believing Christian for your views on Christian theology. So you wouldn't take, from an atheist or a Hindu or a, a Jewish person. Like I'm saying, a lot of people do listen to like what Prager or Ben Shapiro or whoever else on this. And again, there are Christians who have that worldview, but I would encourage all my fellow Christians, to not listen to someone who is, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, take into account their views, but like you should
Yeah.
seek the counsel of other people who share your faith on matters important to your faith. So that's my personal side on that.
I agree.
Lady G, here we go.
Oh, this is a really funny one. Let me see if there's here, let me try. You can tell all these guys are really upset because they're all throwing in like random curse words, That
Well,
could you
they
normally
really,
would never see that kind of thing.
right. Yeah.
So, let me see if this is that video I'm thinking of.
We will meet you on the battlefield of political discourse and we will beat you politically. I want the world to know anti-Semitism, anti-Israel rhetoric, anti-Israel thought is not the road to being elected as a Republican. You
Hold
will
on.
lose.
Pause it. He actually seems a little drunk here. He like
A little
looks a
bit.
little off his rocker. He's
Yeah.
like not quite as sharp. And anyway, so go
No, I
ahead.
mean if you look at where he is, what is this the RJC? Is that what's going on
Yeah,
here?
it's the same
I
thing
mean,
as that Levin. And the other thing about the
yeah.
Levin thing, he wasn't really getting a great response.
No,
Like,
not
I don't know
really.
if there's just not that many people in the hall or what, but it's kind of a bizarre thing. But
I think he's just drunk on like the vibes he's getting there at the RJC, He's all hopped up on what they're
amyl
selling.
nitrate.
Yes. That's let me see here. He's what is this person? Doesn't matter what this person said. This isn't This isn't GML. All right, here
But
we go.
I just want to make it really clear, I'm in the Hitler sucks wing of the Republican Party.
Yeah, he actually is. He sounds drunk there.
Yeah.
What is this Hitler shit? I don't know. Anyway,
Oh my.
A little bit. He's got like a
here's
glass of
what I
wine
do
right
know.
here.
You can sit in a basement with weird people and say weird things. It's a free country, right? But if you ever run for office as a Republican and you embrace this weird shit, we're going to beat your brains out.
Yeah, he.
I think you're right. I think he's a little toasty for sure.
Yeah.
If you're an anti-Semite and you think because somebody loves Israel, their brain is wired, that means you got a brain. Nothing wrong with your brain. We will meet you on the battlefield of political discourse, and we will beat you politically. I want the world to know anti-Semitism, anti-Israel rhetoric, anti-Israel thought is not the road to being elected as a Republican. You will lose.
All right. I think he's,
Oh my.
I do think he's probably drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
He did have another really, just like a great.
Are you serious?
A great endorsement for the Republican Party. He's not worried about where the Republican Party is going.
Yeah, let's play it. If that quote that I saw on the screen is what he
it's
actually
right.
said.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, that one's correct.
Okay.
Speaking of Donald Trump,
Hold on, let me turn it up because it's too good to not have turned up. Let's see here.
he said, hey, so he's a great president. If you don't believe me, just ask him.
That's actually kind of funny.
Yes, that was a good one. Yeah.
What happened with me and him was we found common ground. I've come to like him and he likes him, and that changed our entire relationship. But he did the Golan Heights.
That's actually
thing.
pretty good.
Remember, Ron? He said, I called him up, where you at? I'm with BB on the Golan Heights. He said, I didn't know we were in New York. No, that's another Golan Heights. We're over there. He recognized the Golan Heights by tweet because he understood you can't give it back to Syria because they'll use it to kill you. He recognized Jerusalem as capital of Israel. Why? Because if you got a problem with that, take it up with God. He's the guy that did it, not Trump. So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Oh my goodness. He is absolutely drunk there. I think I have to couch this because maybe he'll sue me for libel.
Yeah. He appears to be. He appears to be.
Yeah, he appears to be.
Not that he is.
I've got another. I don't want to take us down that road, but there's a.
Speaking of Donald Trump.
Oh, whoops, hold on, sorry.
No, there's a story out there about Lindsey Graham that, yeah, I'm not going to bring us down to that level. But if you just Google, like, Lindsey Graham and what, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. Just, I'll tell you off air. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to be a little classy, but.
Okay. Is he married? He's not married, is he?
No, I don't.
No?
Just don't believe he is. Don't believe he is.
Okay.
I think he's a confirmed bachelor is what they
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Lifetime bachelor. That's good. Yeah. That's the extent of the clips that I pulled before this, I think, because a couple of them actually ran together into longer clips.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's that right there.
Well, if that's not a case for leaving the Republican Party and becoming a libertarian, I don't know what is, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's the point, is we need to build a party that doesn't stand for that stuff, that is non-interventionist, whatever side you may be rooting for, that America shouldn't be involved, and that we should build a party that is decentralist, and in the meantime, to try to do the wedge thing, to try to build up a libertarian voting bloc that can throw elections one way or the other, to play actual real politics rather than thinking we're going to elect a president in 2026. That's what the Mises Caucus is trying to do. We're we've come very close to rousting the clowns out of the party, and hopefully we will finally, achieve that goal for good in May in Grand Rapids. So if you want to be a part of that, takehumanaction.com. Let me put that up here one more time if I can find it. Get on the newsletter. Next week we've got the town hall for Mises Caucus supporters. You'll get the info about that in the newsletter, which you sign up for the newsletter at takehumanaction.com. So we'll be back 2 weeks from today. What final thoughts, Nate?
No, just I think you summed it up pretty well. I think overall we're moving in the right direction. I think everyone needs to caution and not moving too far in I think it's great to criticize Israel in the same way that you criticize any other government. There's no reason to not criticize a government in the same way you would criticize any government. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are certain elements of that side that I see that take this thing way too far, and they think that Jews are responsible for every single bad thing that's ever happened. And I don't see any reason to go down that road. It's not necessary even to go down that road. In my opinion, we should just push for fiscal responsibility. That includes not giving other countries our money that was stolen from our paychecks, and that's enough for me. That's enough to take care of the problem. And so there's no reason to go down the crazy rabbit holes unless you just super enjoy that. That's fun to go down those, but I think that's enough.
Yeah, but there's really no reason. And again, have your own views on history or whatever, but like the Mises Caucus, we're committed to the Ron Paul playbook, and Ron Paul was not about what Nick Fuentes is about, and he's about what, the best parts of the founding fathers were about, what Murray Rothbard was about, what Mises was about. And so we're going to continue down that road. So, Nate, I really appreciate it. Sorry we didn't have a good guest on, but I think I actually really enjoyed this. So I think we should maybe do more of making fun of Republicans and Democrats, and we'll get some Democrats next time. Maybe that you guys did a little bit of the Kamala thing on Good Morning Liberty, so we'll look and see if she's still on her please consider me for president again tour. Maybe we can make fun of her at some point in the future. So
I hope it continues, because it makes for great content.
All right, avoid the snap riots, okay?
All right,
we'll see you, Nate. Bye-bye.